Hey there, good people. Brian here, and welcome to Southeast Asia, our final stop in our tour of the continent. Today, we'll trek through the jungles of the mainland nations of this region. While we're here, our learning goals are to identify mainland Southeast Asian countries and describe the culture, economic, and government structures of each. And remember to have the PDF for this lesson printed out before you get started so that you can respond to the questions in the lesson viewing guide. Are you ready, explorers? Let's get hiking! This is Southeast Asia, home to almost a dozen nations and tens of thousands of islands. In this lesson, we'll stick to the mainland, which includes Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. They are densely forested, mountainous, and beautiful. For thousands of years, this region has been a crossroads of trade, as it sits just between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. The Himalayas have always made trade difficult between South Asia and East Asia, so navigating these waters is crucial. Historically, whoever controlled trade had controlled the region, making it highly sought-after territory. The 1st century CE saw the rise of several important kingdoms, including the Mons, who settled along the Irrawaddy River in present-day Myanmar, the Khmer, who settled the Mekong River in Cambodia, and the Thais, who settled the Chao Phraya River in Thailand. Why do you think these groups mostly settled in lowland river valleys rather than up in the mountains? Take a second to pause the video and respond to question 1 on your lesson viewing guide. As trading kingdoms developed, religious beliefs from South Asia diffused into the region. Hinduism arrived in the 4th century BCE. Many parts of Hindu culture were adopted, including its myths, gods, and architecture. Thousands of temples were built throughout Southeast Asia. But other aspects, like the caste system, were rejected. Buddhism came later in the 2nd century CE, and many Hindu temples, like Angkor Wat, have been repurposed as centers of Buddhist worship. Buddhism remains the predominant religion in most of the region today. During European colonization, every country in the region except Thailand was ruled by a foreign empire. Forests were clear-cut to make way for plantations, and in the river deltas, rice production was expanded for export. Infrastructure was modernized to promote trade, which naturally caused urbanization and immigration. How does this narrative compare to what you learned about South Asian nations like India and Pakistan? Pause the video here and respond to question 2 in your lesson viewing guide. After World War II, all Southeast Asian nations on the mainland gained independence, but Western influence was far from over. The Cold War era was a time in which democratic and socialist states vied to influence the governments in all newly developed nations around the world. Many wars were fought over this, including the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and others. In the end, Vietnam and Laos emerged as socialist states, and Cambodia became a constitutional monarchy with an elected legislature. In a hopeful note of cooperation, today all of these countries are members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. It's similar to the European Union, working to promote economic cooperation and peaceful relations among its members. Myanmar is furthest to the northwest and is a globally recognized biodiversity hotspot, supporting animals like the taki, a large goat relative, the Burmese python, a now familiar sight in the Florida Everglades, and the pangolin, whose natural body armor protects it from almost any predator. The country is home to many ethnic groups, ranging from indigenous cultures to descendants of South Asian, European, and East Asian immigrants. Most people are Burmese and call the country Burma. Burmese is also the majority language, but over 100 others are spoken in this country of 55 million people. Since gaining independence in 1948, Myanmar has struggled to unify its many peoples. The country is home to the longest ongoing civil war in the world. Many ethnic groups are unwilling to be led by a government they don't feel represents them and want to secede. Those that struggle the most are the Rohingya, a million-member Muslim ethnic minority group living on the west coast. They are subject to persecution and violence. The government keeps them confined to camps and denies them many freedoms, including movement, education, adequate food, and health care. As of 2021, the military has taken control of the government and the political future of Myanmar is unclear. Freedom House gives Myanmar a rating of not free, with a similar rating to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. Thailand borders Myanmar to the southeast. By comparison, it's a stable monarchy dating back over 800 years. There's more cultural unity there as well, with over 85% of the population speaking a Thai dialect. Thailand has significantly fewer human rights issues, as it is a constitutional monarchy with a long history of expanding freedoms for its people. Thailand has a life expectancy that is 10 years longer and a GDP per capita of $7,200, which is 5 times that of Myanmar's. Why do you think Thailand has better standard of living indicators than Myanmar? Pause the video here to jot down a response to number 3 on your lesson viewing guide. Thailand's economy is the most modern of the mainland nations, with huge exports of integrated circuits for computers made in American and Japanese factories. Thailand is also a huge exporter of pineapples, rubber, and rice. Over 95% of Thailand is Buddhist, and religion is the center of cultural traditions. The Emerald Temple in Thailand's capital, Bangkok, towers over the city. Bangkok is really just a secular name. Its real name is too hard for me to pronounce, but you're welcome to pause the video here and take a stab at it. Here's the English translation. On the east side of the peninsula are Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. The countries are similar in many ways, but are separated by ethnic makeup. Vietnam is predominantly Vietnamese, and Cambodia is ethnically Khmer, but Laos is more of a melting pot. Lao is the largest ethnic group, giving its name to the nation. Vietnam was the first to open itself to outside investment in the 1980s, boasting 8% economic growth per year since 1986. Still, most Vietnamese people are farmers, and only India exports more rice. Cambodia and Laos are slowly starting to loosen government control of their economies, beginning to welcome foreign investment and tourism. Each has its own customs. In Vietnam, on a child's first birthday, their family will gather to celebrate Toi Noi, a ceremony in which a child picks one object out of many in front of them that is said to represent their future career. Vietnam also doesn't have many cars. Bicycles and motorbikes are the main vehicles of choice, giving Vietnam a relatively low carbon footprint, emitting about half the carbon per person that an average American would. Cambodia is the least prosperous nation of the region. It was ruled by a dictator named Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge in the 1970s. Over 3 million Cambodians were killed. Vietnamese forces deposed him, but the country fell into civil war, which ended in 1991, and Cambodia is still working to rebuild. To its north, Laos has little fertile farmland outside the Mekong River Valley, but its hills are rich in precious metals like gold, silver, and copper. Of these three countries, Cambodia has the most political freedom. So why do you think it has the shortest life expectancy and lowest GDP per capita? Take a second to respond to the last question on your lesson viewing guide. Although it was a very difficult 20th century for this region, the 21st century is showing signs of being a prosperous one for mainland nations of Southeast Asia. And with that, our trek through the mountains ends for today. But as we board our boat in the Mekong River Delta, we set sail for the Southeast Asian islands, where new surprises await. Until then, keep exploring.